director of the color department.
Mr. Ellis, was he involved?
I'm not sure because I never had heard his name mentioned about spanking or witnessing.
Did the cottage fathers, those that weren't involved in the actual spanking themselves, did they all know what was going on?
If it was a boy from their cottage, yeah.
If it was a boy in their cottage?
I mean, you know, if it was say if one of their boys did something on the crew or in school to get a spanking for, the only time he would know is when the boys returned to the cottage.
Would there be a procedure through which a cottage father would be told by you or others what kind of spanking the boy had received?
You know, discussions sometimes in your meetings. I don't remember if that was discussed or not.
It wasn't something that was required, that if somebody in your cottage, for example, got spanked, they didn't have to get an explanation of the details?
Well, if a boy was in my cottage and got a spanking, now I'm not sure if I understood all you said or not, but
Number one, would you know that the boy got a spanking? If
he was in my cottage,
sure.
Yeah.
And number two, would you know the details of why he was spanked?
I would know, yeah.
And would you know the severity of the spanking?
No.
Were there boys that you spanked on more than one occasion?
Did I spank a boy on
More than one occasion? Were there boys that...
the same boy?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What was the most times that you can recall you spanked the same boy?
Well, I can't say because I just don't remember that far back.
More than twice?
I just don't, I can't say. But I mean, I didn't have a boy in my cottage, but I know of one boy in particular that got 4 or 5 spankings for things that he did, smoking for one thing. And he just disregarded the school rules, and so he had to pay the consequence.
And there was a school rule against smoking?
Definitely, when I was out there.
And if they caught you spanking, you were at risk? I mean, if they caught you smoking, you were at risk for a spanking? Is that right? If you were caught smoking, you were at risk for a spanking?
In some cases.
How about having cigarettes? Possession of cigarettes?
You don't have cigarettes if you're not supposed to be smoking.
Okay. So if you had cigarettes, you were at
You'd be
risk?
given a grade or something else. I can't say what, but
Other than the leather strap and the paddle that were used during your tenure at the school, were there any other devices that were used to punish the
No,
boy?
sir.
Was there any other means of punishment that was utilized?
well, at one time, we were allowed, and I don't know who, I guess the superintendent got permission to take a boy to ACI, Appalachia Correctional,
Yes, sir.
near Chattahoochee,
Yes, sir.
and they would put him in a cell like to himself, nobody else in there but him, and he doesn't have access to talking to other people. And the school, when that was happening, the school would send some staff members over in the mornings and the afternoons to check with the boy to see how things were going. And once they spent their time over there and came back to the school, to my knowledge, they came up in rank and went home. They didn't have to go back to ACI.
How far away is ACI from Marianna?
Maybe 20 miles.
And if
Everybody knows that.
that's close enough, we're not going to And it's a short drive.
Yeah.
And basically you're describing what is sort of a solitary confinement?
Yes.
And how old were the boys that were subjected to
Different
that?
ages.
The spectrum of the ages at the school? From
If you were 14 and sent over there, or you were 16 you sent over there, I don't recall any of the younger boys to be sent.
And what kind of conduct would get you placed into solitary confinement?
What kind of...
What kind of conduct? What kind of action would include solitary confinement as a penalty?
He would be in there to himself.
I understand that. What I'm asking you is what kind of conduct from a boy would result in them being sent to ACI?
You're talking about before he was sent.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Why would you
make
sent
that
there?
clear for me to know what you're talking about?
I was trying, believe
Well,
me.
you didn't say that, see.
All right.
But going back to the boy being sent over there,
Here's the question. Why would you send a boy to ACI?
what kind of conduct was he involved to be sent over there?
Yes, sir.
I can't answer that because I don't know.
Okay. Was the conduct that warranted being sent to solitary confinement in ACI considered worse than a spanking?
Well, we'll put it this way. Like I said earlier, to my knowledge, when a kid was sent over there and spent time over there and he came back to the school, he made his ranks and went home. And that tells you that that's pretty good medicine for him instead of a spanking. It worked better.
I understand that, but what I'm trying to find out is if it was considered as being a more severe punishment than a spanking.
Well, in some cases, I would imagine so. That depends on the individual.
Okay, well, let me try it this way. If you had a boy that was not following your rules and you spanked him and he kept not following the rules, would there be a threat that if you keep this up, we're going to send you to solitary confinement at ACI?
I don't know what transpired in that case because I had nothing to do with that, see.
How many boys were sent to ACI?
Not a whole lot. Some, I don't say 10 or 12 to my knowledge, maybe.
10 or 12 between 1943 and 1982?
Well, no. It was later than, it was later years that I was there at the school.
Is ACI an adult correctional facility?
I don't know what age, but I imagine they have some older boy, a lot older boys than what we had.
And the decision that being made to start allowing boys to be sent to ACI, who was the superintendent when that decision was made?
I don't know. I don't remember if it was Mr. Williams or someone else. But
was it toward the end of your career at the school?
I would say the last maybe 4 or 5 years.
Did you ever make the recommendation that someone be sent to ACI? No. Was ACI a facility that was segregated, like the school?
I don't know.
Did you ever actually
discuss that or ask any questions about that?
Did you ever actually go yourself?
No. I've been over there to the office, but I never have been in the area where the dormitories and all.
You correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you said earlier that when a boy was sent there, they would send somebody over from...
They didn't send me. They sent somebody else.
And the reason they would go would be just to check up on the boy that was in solitary confinement?
Get his story, what's been happening since you've been in here, and then they would report back to the director.
How long would they place boys in solitary?
I can't tell you that.
You have no idea at all?
I don't think it was very long, maybe 4 or 5 days, maybe, I don't know. I just seemed like that's about it.
4 or 5 days was enough to bring some of
Make
these
up
boys
your
along?
mind if you want to follow the rules and stay away from there.
Do you know if they had a solitary confinement procedure actually on the campus at the school?
The only thing I know about is what they call the White House. The only thing I've known of 2 boys being in there. That was